Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the City of Lebanon Board of Zoning Appeals meeting, Monday, January the 4th, 2021. Can we have roll call, please?
Mark Banneman.
Here.
Chad Kiger.
Here.
Bruce Pauly.
Here.
Ron Edwards.
Here.
And Lori Gross. Here.
Okay, we've got everybody here tonight. Has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes? And if there's no questions or concerns, I'd look for a motion.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes as written.
Second the motion.
Okay, have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item will be the election of officers. Does anybody care to make any recommendations?
Make a motion to elect Bruce and Chad, if you can do that at the same time.
Which is which, though?
Keep it the same, right?
Keep it the same, is that what you're saying?
No, chairman and vice chairman.
Well, right, but who's the chairman?
Excuse me.
Who do you want as the chairman?
You as chairman
Okay.
and Chad.
Okay.
Stay as
I
is.
just had to keep it right,
Yes.
that's fine. Anybody else make any?
Thanks for clarifying that.
Anybody else? Okay, I guess entertain a motion.
I made a
motion.
motion, yes.
Okay,
I'll
we
second
got
the
a
motion.
And a second.
I'll second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, the business for tonight, the first item, docket number 21-4.
Mr. Pauly, we still have the approval of the meeting dates yet before we get into the items.
Chad, okay. Chad, did you see that? Are you happy with
Yeah,
that
we're good
date?
this year.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, is there anybody that wants to make a change to the dates?
Is everyone agreeable to the ones at spring break and fall break?
I think so, yes. I guess the main one is April 5th.
Right, yeah, which is fine. That's the week after spring break.
Okay.
So, yeah. I'm good with that.
Okay, everybody's happy with that? Take a motion, please.
Make a motion to approve the dates for
Second.
meetings.
Okay, got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, we have the agenda, or the meeting dates for this year. Okay, now we can get into the new business. Anybody that's gonna speak tonight, though, we need them to sign in if they could, please. This is a public meeting, so anybody will get a chance to talk that wants to at some point. Docket number 21-4, Stacy Dempster on behalf of Merle Norman requesting a development standard variance to permit relief from the number of required parking spaces. The property is located at 116 North Lebanon Street and is zoned central business. One parking standard item to talk about on that, Ben.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Pauly, and members of the BZA. Just to walk through this a little bit, we're going to have to do this a little bit old school tonight. The login requirements for our online file system changed at 5 o'clock this afternoon, and I can't get in right now, so we're going to use the overhead. So this shows you the property here. This will seem like a very familiar discussion. We had a request just like this last month for the same situation. Essentially, what our ordinance says in terms of our parking standards. When there is a change of use, we are required to review the site to make sure that all of the off-street parking spaces are provided for. Where we get into an issue is a situation we have here, just like last month, in our downtown, particularly on the square, there is no off-street parking that's available because the building is the entire lot. So these buildings, since these buildings were constructed 100 years ago, have always required on-street parking in order to provide the parking spaces. So what we're doing here tonight, it's a variance request to essentially provide relief from the off-street parking requirement to allow them to continue using the building as it sits. Essentially, the only way, excuse me, in order for them to meet the parking requirement would be to tear down part of the building to do that, and that goes totally against what we're trying to do in our downtown to bring additional uses there. So in this case, the option then is to request the variance for relief. I will point out we are looking at other cities to see how they address something like this. And a number of them do provide exemptions, and we're looking at maybe providing some sort of exemption within certain levels of parking requirements. So if a use like this that maybe probably needs only 4 or 5 parking spaces could be exempt. If it was a reception hall that had occupancy capacity for 300 people, they would still be required to meet the off-street parking requirements. So we're looking at doing some things like that to allow some reuse and reinvestment of these buildings without having to come to the BZA every time that happens. So we are working on that and probably have something that'll work its way through the Planning Commission and Council process hopefully in the next couple of months. But in the meantime, if we do have changes of uses like you see here tonight for Merle Norman and Ms. Dempster, it does need to come to the BZA for relief from that off-street parking requirement. We did get some questions asking if this was an approval to provide them essentially reserved parking on street. That is not what this is. This is merely to allow them to reuse the building without having to put off-street parking in. That anybody coming to this building will still have to find a parking space that's available just like anybody else coming to the downtown. So that is the overview of the request. For the record, there are the findings of fact are provided in the staff report. And finally, the City of Lebanon Planning staff has recommended approval of the Development Standard Variance request to permit relief from the number of parking spaces requirement of the Unified Development Ordinance. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I don't think anybody has any. So, that being said, we will hear from the applicant if she would care to step forward and address us, please.
Hi there, my name is Stacy Dempster, and I have owned the Merle Norman Cosmetic Facial Spa and Boutique for 17 years in downtown Lebanon at 117 North Meridian Street. And just to give you a little background, if you guys have not been there before, I've seen a lot of businesses come and go through the years and have survived and ran into, of course, the epidemic that we're having now, which made it very difficult to be in business. But just to give you a little background, the reason why I switched over to 116 North Lebanon Street is the 1st of November, my landlord contacted me and wanted me to sign a 3-year lease and drastically increase my rent, and with no improvements. And after exhausting negotiations, I decided not to sign the contract, and therefore I had to leave 117 North Meridian Street by December 31st. So, luckily, the yoga studio, which was across the street at 116, she was also impacted by COVID, and her business had changed, and she decided that she wanted to sell her building. And instead of renting, I decided with a home equity line of credit and using all my resources to buy the building from her, because I wanted to stay in downtown Lebanon. I had invested a lot in this community, and I have great support with my customers. They wanted me to stay, and I live an hour away. Actually, I live in Monticello, and I thought at one point that I would go ahead and just buy a building in Monticello and open in Monticello. But after all the support that I received from all my customers and family, and I decided to go ahead and stay and invest in this community. And So I, as of December the 26th, I have moved 17 years' worth of stuff out of 117 North Meridian Street, and with the help of friends and family, have moved over to 116 North Lebanon Street. And it's a beautiful building. Chris from the yoga studio, who I've become friends with, did a fantastic job redoing the first floor at least. And I have moved everything over and all my fixtures and everything. It's starting to look really nice. And I plan on opening tomorrow for business. It was a quick turnover, but anyway, I'm here tonight because I can't provide parking because the city owns the streets, just like across the street at 117, North Meridian Street. So anyway, I appreciate any help and support, and hope to be here for many more years to come.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, this is an open, public meeting. Anybody from the public care to step forward and voice an opinion one way or the other? Seeing nobody stepping forward, we'll close the public end of the meeting. And if there's no questions for either one, would entertain a motion.
I'd make a motion to approve docket 21-4 as written, and I wish her well.
Second, please.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Kelly, would you take roll, please?
Okay, Mark Vanneman,
Aye.
Chad Kiger,
Aye.
Bruce Polly,
Aye.
Ron Edwards,
Aye.
Lori Gross.
Aye.
Motion passed. Congratulations and good luck.
Yep.
Okay, our last item tonight is docket 21-5. The City of Lebanon Street Department is requesting 3 development standards to construct a new highway garage to be located out in the business park at 316 North Mount Zion Road. The property now is zoned planned business industrial. Mr. Ben.
Very good. I'm trying to see if I can get this to work. I'm re-logging in. Maybe we'll have some luck.
Take your time, we're running ahead of schedule.
It doesn't look like it's going to help me out here. All right, the request before you tonight is a new street garage for the City of Lebanon Street Department. This is a piece of property that's owned by the City of Lebanon Redevelopment Commission. It's out in the existing Lebanon Business Park. It's the site of the Gene Haas Training Center. There's some residual property to the back of the Gene Haas Training Center. I'll get something for their overhead here in a second so you can kind of take a look at overall what's going on, because it doesn't seem like this is going to work for me, of course, on the computer. So it's grayed out, but the Gene Haas Training Center sits right here up along Mount Zion Road along the property, and the residual pieces to the west, to the back of that center. They'll create an additional entrance for the street department out there that kind of cuts through the corner of the fire access road for the Gene Haas Center, but then provides them separate access out on Mount Zion Road. So in reviewing this with the engineer that's working on this project on behalf of the street department, we did make a number of changes to the property and to the project to bring it into compliance with the ordinance. And there are 3 items remaining that deal with essentially the truck and equipment area that's behind the building to the west and behind the building. And these are requests that we see on almost 100% of the applications out in the business park for the truck access areas. And the way our ordinance is written, it requires all parking areas to be curbed and have both perimeter and interior landscaping. Well, these in equipment and truck access areas, curbs and landscaping don't really mix very well with larger vehicles. So we've had a lot of variance requests for those areas. They're oftentimes behind the buildings, not within sight of the street. It really backs up to probably another truck court from another industrial building, which is the case here as well. This again, like the last request, is another one of those circumstances where we're considering how we might be able to make some amendments to the ordinance. It would provide some exemptions for areas like this, kind of working through how that might look. Right now, my interpretation of it suggests that all these areas would require all those things, but in particular, interior landscape islands don't make any sense when you're talking about a truck court. So that just makes maneuvering much more difficult. So this is, again, something we're considering how we might change the ordinance to more accurately reflect what's happening on the ground with users that are coming into the city, to make it more efficient for them so they don't have to come and request these every time a new project comes in. So just to walk through the three requests. So again, this area, out front, there's kind of the customer parking area out front of the building. That area is going to be completely curbed. That's going to have all the landscaping requirements met according to the ordinance. So we're really just dealing with this area that's back behind the building, which is parking for employees, where all their trucks and equipment will be stored, in some cases in the building, in some cases outside. They got places where they'll be storing. They've got a facility to house like the salt and things like that back there. They got the places where they have all of their recycling and stuff like that. So that all happens behind the building, away from the street. It's in a fenced-in area for security. But the three requests are, and first is the parking area curbing. So again, this would just be for the area that's behind the fence that you see here. So that area will all sheet drain to the detention facility, this new proposed detention facility that's behind the building. So it'll sheet drain to that area. So that parking, eliminating the curbing, both also helps with, you know, the trucks and equipment that are maneuvering the site, but then it also allows that area to sheet drain into that pond that's back there. So that would be the request, is for relief from the parking area requirement for this truck and equipment area behind the building. The second would be parking lot perimeter landscaping. Again, this is directly related to this area behind the building, and they are asking for relief from the parking lot perimeter landscaping requirements to eliminate those. As you can see, that there is a fence that essentially lines the perimeter of that area that you see depicted by the line with the small circles that you see running along there. And then the third request, as I suggested earlier, was for parking lot interior landscaping. Again, they do meet the interior landscaping requirement out front of the building. This is strictly for the area behind the building. Again, like I mentioned, trucks and equipment maneuvering around interior landscape islands is really not very efficient and effective. Again, this is something we'd be looking maybe to amend the ordinance to make it a little bit clearer with areas that might be exempt from this requirement. So again, they're requesting relief from that interior parking lot landscape area for the equipment and truck area behind the building. So those are the overview of the three variance requests. For the record, there are findings of facts for each of those three requests that are outlined in the staff report. And then staff has recommended approval of the three variance requests for parking area curbing, parking lot perimeter landscaping, and parking lot interior landscaping. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
Just for my own curiosity. Is that a retention or detention pond?
That's probably a good engineering question. They're somewhat interrelated.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it'll be a wet pond.
Okay.
That's probably a better way to describe it. It's a little more descriptive.
Anybody else have a question for Ben? Thank you, sir. Would the applicant step forward?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Greg Ilko. I'm with Crossroad Engineers, office at 3417 Sherman Drive, Beech Grove, Indiana, 46107, representing the City of Lebanon Street Department for the construction, or the design rather, of the new maintenance garage. Appreciate Ben's report and presentation. He hit all the high notes. I'd be pretty redundant if I were to do anything more. I guess the only thing I would say, and Ben, how do I get to the overhead again? Oh, okay. Just as Ben alluded to, the strict application of the zoning ordinance is extremely prohibitive to the nature of the use of this site, with the maneuverability of the equipment that the street department has, the storage of the materials, the salt barn. There's a number of dumpsters that are on the south side here. The curbing, actually, we do have curbing all along the east and south side. The only curbing that we're not doing is along the west and, well, I'll call it the west and south. This eastern portion is curbed, but nonetheless, still that's the area that we're looking for relief from the zoning ordinance from as far as the curbing goes. I'll be happy to answer any questions. I will say that it is a wet bottom detention pond, since there is a positive outflow. Retention pond is typically no pipe outlet, relying on infiltration, evaporation, and that's it. Not too many retention ponds out there anymore.
Okay, anybody have any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anybody from the public want to address? Anybody? Okay, we will close the public end of the meeting. And if there's no questions, I would entertain a motion.
Rob, do you want us to do them individually or just,
I think we could, whatever you would prefer, we could do them together if you like, or you could do them separately. So whoever wants to make a motion.
all together? Okay. I'll make a motion, the approval of the development standard variances requested to prevent relief that is outlined in the United Development or Unified Development Ordinance.
Okay, need
A second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Kelly?
Mark Vandeman.
Aye.
Chad Kiger.
Aye.
Bruce Pauly.
Aye.
Ron Edwards.
Aye.
Lori Gross.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, we got one thing we need to do. We got to go back to the election of officers, and I think we forgot Kelly, and somebody needs to nominate Kelly as recording secretary.
And I'll add that in as the first motion.
Okay? Somebody second,
I
please.
second that, yeah.
Okay, everybody that wants Kelly, say aye.
Aye. Thanks, everybody.
Congratulations, Kelly.
Good job, Kelly.
Feeling special.
Any other business of any sort tonight? If not, I would entertain a motion to close the meeting for this month. And our next meeting would be February the 1st.
Make a motion to adjourn.
And got a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much for everybody for coming.